Yo, what up YouTube? This is Isaiah Fowler, founder of Swap Eyewear and Swap Agency. And in this video is going to be very powerful, right? We talking about the death of the middleman, right? The middleman is literally going obsolete. And I need you to understand what's really going on in this business world and in the world. So get your pen and get your paper, because I'm literally, if you, like I always say, if you sit and listen and implement, this will literally change your whole life and your whole perspective on the game of business. All right. So get ready and let's get it. So the death of the middleman. The middleman. I read an article recently about, and I watched an interview about the CEO of Ford. And he said that they are going to be going away with dealerships. And so no more salesmen, car salesmen. And I used to sell cars. And so I was like, wow. They said that they're going to be going direct to their consumers. Consumers are going to be purchasing cars on the internet. And they're either going to be picking them up from the company's, building, or they're going to be getting them delivered to them. So I was like, wow, this is what I've been talking about forever anyway. And I wanted to really, make a whole video about how the middleman is dying. Okay. So let's think about this. And I have a lot of examples and just reasons that support all of this. And so if you're watching this, I really hope that you pay attention to this and take real heed to it, because this is some real stuff right here. So first off, it's important to know and to understand that the longer that, society exists, the more advances that's going to happen. So I remember, this is a perfect example. I remember back in 2014, 15, 16, I was investing into real estate. And so when I was in real estate, I used to wholesale real estate. Okay. Now this is kind of where I have started at. I bought my first property, lived in it, was renting, then started renting it out, was doing some wholesale, then I did some fix and flip. Now here's the difference, right? When I was wholesaling, I was the middleman, right? And this is for anybody who has a business, but you already know product-based business owners, I'm talking to you for the most part, but this really, is for a service-based business also, because the concepts and the principles are the same. So I was the middleman when I was wholesaling. When I was fixing and flipping, I was getting my properties either myself or from the middleman. Right? So I had a little bit more flexibility from self or middleman. Okay. So I want to show you how this kind of works and what this looks like. Because I want to show you how much money you're keeping on the table by dealing with all these people in the middle between you and, your customers and your clients. Right. So when I would wholesale, let's say I had a property, I found a property, and the house was, let's say the house was, it was worth on a retail side, if it was fixed up and everything, they call it the ARV. Let's say it was worth 200K was the ARV, right? And I'm over here talking to the owner of the property, and they just wanted 50K for the property. So the owner wants 50K, right? So I would say, okay, I'll buy this house for 50,000. And then I would find somebody that wanted to buy this property for 100K, and in the middle I would make 50K as a wholesaler, right? Now, what happens is the longer that an industry is in existence, the longer that things are happening, this middleman over time is going to get phased out, because people are going to be like, look, if you knew that somebody was making $50,000, right, in the middle of you, over time, you're going to be like, let me just figure out how to do it myself, right? So this concept of the middleman is dying. And we're seeing it with when a car dealership, when an owner of a car manufacturing company, where a CEO says that they're going to be going direct to their customers, it's time to start listening up, right? So check this out, right? So now that's a foundational understanding of what I'm saying here. So now let's say we got Ford, right? And this all boils down to like the supply chain and everything like that as well. So let's say we got Ford, and they are the manufacturers. They make their cars, right? And they make their cars, boom. Okay, cool. So now from Ford to the customer, how many people touch the car before it gets to the customer, right? So Ford makes the cars, they manufacturing, right? And then what they do is they give the cars to car dealerships, right? So this is what they do. Now, after the car is manufactured and made, they ship it out to car dealerships. And these car dealerships, they pay a fee. They don't buy the cars, but what they do is they pay a fee per day or per week or per month based on how long that car has been there, right? So that's why at car dealerships, if a car has been sitting for so long, then it's going to be at a deal, because the car dealership it's costing the car dealership for cars to be on the lot, right? It's just like for retail stores, they have sales per hour. They have all these, metrics that are very, very, very important. So they're paying per day or week or month. I forget. I'm pretty sure it's per day. A fee for that car to sit on the lot. So then you have the customer, right? And at the dealership, you have the car salesman, right? So boom. So here's what's going on and here's what's happening. So now Ford made the car, but now what they're really doing is they're going to just get a commission from their car, from the dealership, once the car sells to the customer, right? So let's say that a Ford Focus costs $35K, right? Maybe $25K, $28,000, but let's say $35K, right? So a car costs $35K retail, $5K retail. And let's say it costs Ford $10,000 to make it, right? Let's say it cost them $10,000 to make a car. I don't know exactly how much it costs to make a car. I never looked up that, but this is for an example's sake for you to fully understand no matter where you're at in your business. So now it costs them $10,000. The dealerships are selling them for $35,000, right? MSRP is what what the manufacturer would want them to sell the car for. That's what MSRP means. Manufacturer suggested retail price. But dealerships, because they're doing volume, they usually never sell the cars at an MSRP. Unless it's somebody, they call them a laydown, that doesn't negotiate. But if you go in a dealership and you're negotiating, then you're going to get the car at a better deal, right? So now let's say the car sells for $30K, right? Let's say at a dealership, the car is selling on average for $30K, right? So now the manufacturer isn't getting the full amount what they could be getting. But then at the dealership, so not only is the dealership selling for less, but then they have to give the car salesman a commission, right? Boom, right? Percentage commission. And then the customer gets car. Now, some people may say, what's wrong with that? Now watch this. Now, the customer just paid, $30,000, $35,000 for a car. Now, the manufacturer does not know who the customer is. The manufacturer only ships out hundreds of these cars to all these car dealerships. This was their distribution, right? This is how they distributed their products. And this is the most archaic way of doing business in 2022, right? So we're going to call this archaic, okay? Because here's what's happening. Ford as the company who makes the product is wholesaling or, allowing somebody else to sell their cars that they made on consignment or whatever the case may be, whatever they work out. And then, somebody is hired to sell the cars and make a commission for the dealership, and the customer gets the car. Now, what this has done was that makes Ford only a car manufacturing company, right? But now the new thing is Ford, if they cut out this middleman, right? If they cut out this middleman and say, we're not going to do this anymore, now they're going to be able to sell their cars at a higher retail price, no negotiations, and they're going to know what customers purchased the car. They're going to know how old they were. They're going to know what car they purchased. They're going to know how long they usually had the car. So now the manufacturer is going to go from a manufacturing company to an actual brand, right? Not saying that they didn't have a brand, but they only had a brand in the automotive world, right? When you have all this data about a customer and you have hundreds of thousands and millions of customers, you're going to be able to make a decision on what else you want to do in your business, how you want to grow it, how you want to serve your customer base based on the data and the information that you're getting from these customers. So over time, car dealerships are like, yo, why do we need a car dealership? Why do we need a car dealership to sell our cars when we can just sell them our own? So here's also what happens. So I hope you wrote this down and it's all making sense. So here's what happens, right? So now we have this right here. We have the brand. Let's say your brand. Let's say your company. The brand, right? We got the middleman, right? And we have the customer or client. Excuse me. Boom. Right? So we got these three. Now here's what happens. The brand makes the product. They make the high quality product. Right? So it starts here and it originates here. Now usually as entrepreneurs, we're so passionate about this part right here. Right? The product development. Now the middleman, because we be so focused on right here, what happens is we don't be focused on marketing and getting our product out there in the world. So we find a middleman or a middleman finds us, and what they're good at is marketing. Right? So because they're good at marketing and they have a systematic way, to market and watch this, distribute products, right? Then what happens is they're going to do that to this customer base or client base, and they're going to make a percentage off of what you can make if you just figured out how to do what the middleman is doing. That's all you got to do, right? When I was talking about real estate, wholesalers, remember, wholesalers are the middleman. All they know how to do is market your property, or they have a list of people that want to buy these properties. And, most people will say, well, that's valuable to me. I would pay for that. And I feel you. But at the same time, when your business starts to grow, what happens is you start to bring things in-house, right? Because you want to keep things as close to your brand, as close to the nucleus of the company as possible. Because the middleman is going to dilute your brand. It's going to dilute your brand's message. It's going to dilute your brand's mission. The middleman cannot sell your product the same way you can sell your product. The middleman cannot tell your company's story the same way that you can tell your company's story. You feel what I'm saying? So, but they're only good at distributing your product through marketing. So if you sat here, or they have a platform, which could be a store, it could be an online marketplace like Amazon. Amazon is the middleman, and they're raping people because people don't want to learn how to market and get traffic to their own website. But Amazon, like the people that buy products off of Amazon, those are Amazon's customers. They're not your customers. So let's say your brand, once again, your brand, right? Middleman, Amazon. Your customers, right? Your customers. Boom. So Amazon, this is Amazon FBA that everybody knows. Right? This is also, wholesaling into stores. This is also, retail. Because wholesale orders and trying to get in a big box retailer are two different things. But this is the middleman. So, and here's the thing. I'm not saying like never use a middleman, because in some cases it could be advantageous. But if you're reliant on the middleman, you're fucked. Okay? If you are reliant on the middleman, you are done. Because once the middleman sits here and says, hey, I'm done, or I'm going here, I'm doing this, all you got was a commission from the product that you made, and you don't even know your customers or clients. So you can't really grow your business. You can't grow your business. All you can do is depend on another middleman, try to find somebody else to do what they were doing, because you're helpless, because you haven't figured out how to market your own product and create your own distribution. Look, I'm telling you, once you take control of your brand, once you take control of your company and say, fuck the middleman, right? And sit here and say, I'm going to figure out this system. I'm going to figure out how to do this right here. What the middleman is doing, the middleman becomes less valuable to you. And that's why the middleman is going through a crisis. All these business models that's built off of being the middleman, it's very scary, because all these companies are bringing everything in-house because prices are increasing. And the middleman is no different from having contractors working for you, right? If you have all these contractors working for you, I guarantee you, without even knowing your business, I know that your margins are smaller, because a middleman is trying to maximize their revenue. You don't need to have somebody inside of your organization trying to maximize revenue off of you, right? You don't need somebody trying to maximize revenue off of you. But because that's their business and that's their business model, they're trying to get as much as they can. And if you're their client or you're their customer, or they're doing business with you, this is not a partnership. This is how can I make the most amount of money, right, from this person, which is you. They're taking all your customer information. This also relates to those people that are resellers, right? So here's a good example. So it's kind of like I'm flipping a little bit. Amazon isn't a reseller, they're a platform. But you have people that are resellers. Let me tell you a perfect example. Department stores. They're the middleman. So let's say Walmart, JCPenney's, Macy's, Sears. Some of y'all are too young to even know what Sears is for real, because there's barely any stores like Sears out there anymore. But department stores are a perfect example. Department stores are the middleman, and they were the middleman. They're going extinct. As literally clear as day, they're going extinct. They had, let's say, department stores. Right? Okay. So department stores exist. They were reselling all these other brands, right? Reselling brands. right? Now, what if these brands was like, yo, we don't want to be in your store anymore because we figured out how to market to our own customers. They go out of business just like that. Literally, just like that, in a blink of an eye, they going out of business because they were only reselling products. They weren't building their own brand. The brand was dependent and predicated on reselling the products that other brands and companies were making to them. So all their own value was a distribution, right? But what happens is when a brand figures out their own distribution, they don't need the middleman anymore. And that's why you're seeing all these D2C brands, all they really need is money, because the internet is a playing field. The playing field is continuing to be leveled, right? Because companies are able to go straight to their customer and consumer and know all about them. I know customers' birthdays, right? We know customers if they're interested in prescriptions, sunglasses, all these small things. And those things are valuable to the growth and the longevity of a company, right? All these apps we have, all these things that we have inside of our back end help us know our customer better, and therefore you become more powerful. My biggest inspiration was Nip, right? Nipsey Hussle, because he had a campaign that said, fuck the middleman, right? He was like, yo, he figured it out. He literally figured out this whole, concept right here, right? He said, instead of trying to make albums and sell the CDs, through a distribution company like Sony or, Def Jam or whatever, or Atlantic, I'm going to sell my product direct to the people that fuck with my music, and I'm going to charge $100. And he did it and made $100,000 in a day, right? And then he did the same thing with Mailbox Money, and he sold it for $1,000, and 100 people bought it, and that's $100,000. So that's the power of going direct to consumer. When you're going direct to your customer base, you don't need to sell as many products as a person, wholesaling and using all these platforms, because they have to do so much volume. They have to do so much volume because a percentage of their sales is getting taken from the middleman. So it's like, why? Why are we relying on this? I'm not saying don't do business with the middleman, but the only time it's time to do business with the middleman is once you have established your brand right here. Once you know how to distribute and market your products to your customers and get your customer data, that's when you can sit here and say, we're positioned to the point where we can partner with middlemen, right? Now, department stores are failing, but let me tell you what a brand has done that is, cutting edge compared to department stores. Let's look at Target, right? Let me tell you what Target has done. Target is successful because Target has their own brand internally. Okay? Hear what I'm saying. Same with Kroger and same with Sprouts, right? They have their own brands internally. So yes, they resell other brands, but they also have their own brand under their actual store. And because they have that, their margins are higher. Well, a portion of their margins are higher. And because a portion of their margins are higher, their business has more longevity and sustainability. So we sitting here saying, oh, I make my product, but that's kind of all I want to do, and I just want to sell it on marketplaces. I'm not a fan of Amazon FBA because Amazon is the middleman. I'm not a fan of wholesale because wholesaling is the middleman. I'm not a fan of trying to get into retail super early because that's the middleman. How are you going to build up any leverage if all you're doing is dealing with the middleman and they're trying to rape you, right, for hella money, hella bread? They don't care about you for real. All they trying to do is get money from you. Until they see that you have leverage and you're built up, then you can start dealing with them. But in the beginning, when you ain't got no leverage, they're going to take advantage of you. This is how the beast works. This is how the game go. It's no real way to get around it, right? More middlemen are, if you have a product-based business, service providers. Let me give you an example, right? Because this goes deep. This goes super deep, right? So watch this, right? So your brand, right? Let's go back to the middleman. Middleman, again, because the middleman ain't just platforms and stuff, right? Customer. Let me tell you a big middleman that's costing a lot of brands a lot of money is advertising agencies. Watch how I break this down for you, right? Okay, so let's just say you're making $10,000 a month. And no. Let's say you're making $25,000 a month in revenue, okay? So 25K a month in revenue, in rev, okay? All right, boom. So you're making 25 a month in revenue. Now, the middleman is charging you, let's say a retainer of, let's say 2K a month, right? Plus advertising dollars. So let's say you're spending 5K a month on ads. All right. Boom. Okay. So now you're making 25 a month, but $7,000 is already out the door for advertising. Right? And the only reason that the brand, the entrepreneur is paying this person is because time, but also they don't know how to do this part digitally. But let me tell you what happens. Let's say you have them, right? You have an advertising agency. They're going to tell you what they want to tell you to, fulfill what they're looking for. There are a very few good advertising agencies, but what if you figured out how to do this on your own in-house? You would never have this type of retainer to pay to an advertising agency. You could do it in-house, and now your margins will be increased. And then your company can be more sustainable, right? What about an email marketing agency? Because these are separate things, right? So let's say email marketing. So let's say that's another 3K a month. And these are all like, some people charge 5K a month, some people charge 10. It just depends on the structure of the business, right? So let's say 3K a month for emails. And people could be like, yeah, but it's making money. But watch this. 3K a month in email marketing service fees. 5K a month in advertising, 2K a month in, the agency, advertising agency retainer. So that's $5,000 a month right there on marketing. But here's what I know. This shit right here, it's not as hard as people think. But the big thing be, I don't have the time. Now watch this. Once your revenue starts to increase and you start paying attention to your profit and loss statements, you're going to start looking at these expenses and you're going to be like, damn, how can we cut these expenses? And the same thing is always going to end up happening. It's just a matter of when you're going to make the decision. And the answer is going to be to cut out the middleman and bring it in-house. Because here's the thing. For $2,400 a month or $2,500 a month, you could have an intern starting off and then molding them to have your brand's voice. And then from there, you can grow and get the same output from somebody in-house that's closer to the actual brand. Remember, the whole key to building a brand is to keep everything as close as possible to your brand. But when you're dealing with the middleman and all these agencies that are providing a service, right? Then what happens is they're literally just trying to make as much money, right? You can bring a service in-house. You see what I'm saying? You can bring a service in-house. And that service, bringing it in-house over the long term, it may be more expensive up front, but long term, it will change your life and your business, and it'll actually end up being cheaper. But it depends on the structure of your business, and it also depends on where you're at in your business and what the revenue is. Sometimes this is better to do, but other times this is not better to do. And it's actually more expensive because it gets you further away from your brand, because an agency, right, that's providing a service like this, they're not going to know your brand's voice as much as you would know your brand's voice, and trying to communicate it to the middleman is very challenging. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about keeping things as close to the brand and to the creator as possible to build up a really solid, strong company and solid, strong brand, right? So it's like, and honestly, the agencies that provide a service like ads, right? Advertising, email marketing, like, they're just doing their job, right? Like, they're not going to care as much about your company as you would, which is why I'm just not a fan of the middleman. I'm not saying they can't work, but what I'm saying is we're strictly being reliant on them. If they sit here today and say, I'm done, I don't want to work with you no more, now you're in the hole because you don't really know how to market your company. So you are literally reliant on the middleman. And that's also why I literally said I want to help people with their strategy, because as a founder, once you know the strategy for your business, you're infinite. You can go do anything because now you know everything about your company inside and out, right? But if you're being reliant on services from other people, you just want people to make you money instead of building out the brand and understanding all the aspects of your company. You want to be able to say, this email doesn't work. You want to be able to say, our customers will not respond to this. But if you don't know that because you never done it, then how will you be able to instruct an email agency? You don't want them just telling you stuff that works, because what if that's not your brand? You see what I'm saying? So that's the middleman too. So the more that you understand people being in the middle between you and your customer, and you sit here and say, I want to take my power back, this whole concept will make more sense, and it's going to change your life, because it's nothing wrong with the middleman. But if you're reliant, just always know it's about being reliant on them. Do not rely on somebody being in the middle of you and your customer. So everything you do, ask yourself, is this entity, company, person, are they in the middle of me and my customer? If the answer is yes, they're a middleman. And now you got to ask yourself, is it worth it now? Et cetera, right? And that's why I started doing the intensives and working with people monthly with the strategy, so that we can reason and know what decisions to make, right? So we're in a time right now where the middleman is dying, right? The middleman is struggling. And the real answer to it really be bringing things in-house and getting it closer to the creator of the actual company, the brand, and the products, right? So that's the video today. If you're looking to take your business literally to the next level, infrastructurally, strategically, and all of that, then click the link in the description or go to growwithsuave.com and let's set up a call to schedule a discovery call, right? In these intensives, we're going to deep dive into the business, and we're going to literally meticulously look at everything and create campaigns and an actual strategy to actually grow, right? So you don't have to be a victim of, depending on Amazon FBA, depending on wholesale, right? Go direct to your customers, go direct to your consumers. That's where the power is at, because where your customers are at, that's where you're going to have the data, and that data is going to change your life. All right. So if y'all want to do an intensive or work with me and my agency, then click the link in the description. And always remember, everything you do in life, it starts with a vision. And I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Peace.